Imagine waking up in your village. The sun is rising, children are laughing, and life feels normal. Within minutes, your world collapses. Strangers with guns storm your home, chains replace freedom, and you are pushed into a system that turned human beings into merchandise. A system that would shape the world for the next 400 years. This is the darkest deal in human history, the Transatlantic Slave Trade. From Africa to the Americas, from European greed to African resistance, this story is not just history, it's a global tragedy that still shapes our world today. Let's uncover how it all started, who profited, and why its effects still echo across continents. Contrary to popular belief, the slave trade didn't begin with Europeans simply arriving and taking people. It began with demand. Europe was, hungry for cheap labor. Sugar plantations, tobacco fields, and later cotton farms were just exploding in profit, but they needed a workforce, and instead of paying wages, they turned to exploitation. Portugal was the first European power to begin capturing and transporting Africans in the 1400s. Soon, Spain joined, then Britain, then France, then the Dutch. By the 1600s, it had become a massive, organized business. Europeans built forts along the West African coast, Elmina, Cape Coast, Ouida, where captured Africans were imprisoned like cargo. Millions were traded for guns, alcohol, textiles, and manufactured goods, a cold, calculated exchange human beings for products. The Middle Passage was the nightmare journey, a brutal crossing of the Atlantic Ocean. On cramped ships, men, women, and children were chained together. There was barely space to move. Diseases spread like fire. Beatings were constant. Some jumped overboard, choosing the sea over slavery. For every 100 Africans taken onto the ships, up to 20 died before even reaching the Americas. This wasn't transportation. This was torture at sea. In the Americas, Africans were sold like animals at auctions, families were separated, languages erased, cultures attacked. But what Europeans didn't expect was resistance. Africans fought back, through revolts, sabotage, cultural preservation, and even establishing marooned communities of escaped slaves who built free societies in the mountains and forests. Their resilience shaped the cultures of Brazil, the Caribbean, and the United States. The slave trade made Europe rich, very rich. European cities like London, Liverpool, Lisbon, and Bordeaux grew on slave money. American plantations flourished. Banks, insurance companies, ports, many of them still exist today, were built on profits from enslaved labor. Meanwhile, Africa suffered depopulation, social disruption, and centuries of economic imbalance. This was not a fair exchange. It was economic warfare. Abolition didn't happen overnight. It took rebellions, resistance, and massive black uprisings, especially the Haitian Revolution, which, honestly, terrified European powers. By the 1800s, the trade was being outlawed country by country, but the damage was already irreversible. The transatlantic slave trade was not just a crime against Africa, it was a crime against humanity. But it's also a story of survival, culture, strength, and identity. A reminder that even in the darkest moments, the human spirit refuses to die. If this history matters to you, hit like, subscribe, and let's keep uncovering the truth together.